Today happens to be the 15th class, and what we have started is we have already started with the second module. In the second module, we have started with what is the meaning of a list. I told you list, in other words, is like an array. Like in other programming languages, we have the concept of array. It is a collection of elements. The concept of list in Python is that it is always enclosed in square brackets. Each element is separated by a comma. Elements of a list can be of any data type, which means that my list can contain strings, it can contain integers, or it can also contain floating point numbers and Boolean values. So these are some examples of list. So you can see I can define my list like this in square brackets 1, comma 2, comma 3. So this is a list. Cat, bat, elephant is also a list, and so on. So you can also see here that my list can contain strings, floating point numbers, Boolean value. It can also contain none. It can also contain nothing. An element can also be a nothing. It can be empty element, and it can also be an integer. So this is how we define list. Then after that, how to access elements of a list? We can access elements of the list by using index. If I want to access the first element of the list, if I want to access the first element of the list, then I say, if the name of my list is spam, then I say spam of 0 to access the first element of the list. If I want to access the second element of the list, I say spam of 1, and so on. Then after that, we learned, if I try to access an element of the list which does not exist, for example, spam is a list containing 1, 2, 3, and 4 elements. If I try to access spam of 10,000, an index which is bigger than the size of the list, then it gives an error. It says this list index out of range. So we cannot access element of a list which does not exist. Indexes of a list can always be only integers. You cannot have floating point indexes. Index of a list can be only integers, 1, 2, 3, like that. It cannot be 1.3 or 3.5 like that. So index of a list. So this is something which we have already done. I'm just very quickly revising everything. Then comes the concept of elements of a list. The elements of the list, I told you, that can be any data type. It can be integers, floating point numbers, strings. An element of a list can be another list. An element of a list can be another list. Like for example, you can see here the first element of the list is a list containing cat and bat. The second element of the list is another list containing 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So if you want to access this, then you say spam of 0 of 1. Spam of 0 is this one. Of 1 is bat. So this will be displayed bat. So this is how we access elements of a list which are inside another list. Then what is the meaning of negative indices? If you want to access the elements of a list from reverse, if you want to access the last element of the list, you say spam of -1. Spam of -1 will give you the last element of the list. Spam of -2 will give you the second last element of the list. Spam of -3 will give you the third last element of the list, and so on. So negative indices are also possible. What does it mean? When you write a negative indices, it means that you're coming from the reverse direction, from the back. Then we studied the concept of slices, how to slice a list. If you want to access a part of the list, if you have, let us say, some 10 elements on the list and you want to slice them, starting from a particular index to another index. So if I write spam of 1:4, starting from the first index till the fourth index, but not including the fourth index, it is like that. So if, let us say, spam is a list containing 1, 2, 3, and 4 elements. If I say 0 to 4, it will start from this 0, 1, 2, 3. So it will put everything in this sliced list and then it will give it to you. If I say spam of 1:3, it will start from the first index, 0, 1. It will leave this, it will start from here, first index, till 3, 1, 2, 3. So it will put only bat and rat, only these two it will put. So we have already learned what is the concept of slicing the list. Okay, so this is how we can slice the list, take part of the list, and so on. Then comes the concept of not putting anything in the slicing operator. If I say spam of nothing :2, it will start from 0. If I don't put anything here, it will take 0. So if I don't put anything in the beginning of the colon, before the colon, this is where actually you're supposed to put the starting index of the new list. But if you don't put anything there, it means that you're starting from index 0. You're starting from index 0. Okay. And then if you don't put anything after the colon, it means that you want to go till the end of the list. Okay, so if you don't put anything before the colon, it means starting from the beginning. If you don't put anything after the colon, it means that till the end. And if you don't put anything before and after, if you don't put anything before and after the colon, then it means the complete list. The complete list you want to slice. That is what it means. Okay, that is where we till here we had studied. Now we will be starting with today's class. I will be explaining to people the len function, some of the built-in functions with lists. If I want to know what is the length of the list, I use the len function. Very simple. Okay, I'm not going to type examples here because it is going to take a little time. Let me see how much. If there is any doubt at any given time, please chat back and ask me. Okay, please do not hesitate. So I have a list called as spam containing 3 elements. If I say len of span, so remember it is a function. So we write len, len, it's a built-in function. And then to the function, we pass spam, the list name as a parameter. And then this function will return us what is the size of this list. So what is the size of this list? How many elements are there in the list? There are 3 elements. So, there are 3 elements there. It displays me that. So len is a built-in function to know what is the length of the list. I hope this is clear. When do we use the length function? We use the length function when we don't know what is the length of the list and we want to know the length of the list so that we can parse through each element of the list. So that is when we use the length function. Okay, later on we will write one example where we will use the length function. But I hope by now you must have understood what is the meaning of the length function. It gives you the length or the size of the list. Next comes changing values in the list. For example, let us say it is possible to change uh, elements of the list. What do you mean by that? For example, let us say you have spam, it's the name of the list, and then it has got these elements: cat, bat, rat, and elephant. 4 elements are there. Now remember, which are these? These are the original elements: cat, bat, rat, and elephant. If I do this, spam of 1 is equals to, if I write a new name, if I put a new name. So you always know that whatever is on the right hand side will be put into the left hand side. So what is there on the right hand side of this equals to sign? We have adverb, there is some word, it's a string, and that I'm putting it into the list. And in which position of the list I'm putting it? I'm putting it into the position 1, 0, 1. So bat, in the position of bat, I'm putting this new word called as adverb. Now, if I display the value of, now after this statement, you will find that the value of this bat has changed to adverb because you have changed the element of the list. So it is possible to change the element of the list by just assigning it some value. If I say spam of 1 is equals to a new value, so in this position, spam of 1, a new value will come. Before what it was bat, but now what it has become adverb. If I say spam of 2 is equals to spam of 1, okay, so whatever is there in spam of 1 will be put into the spam of 2 value. So this is 0, 1, 2. So rat, in the place of rat, what will be put? Bat will be put because, no, sorry, adverb, because adverb is already put in spam of 1. So that will be placed into this particular position after this statement. Whatever is there in spam of 1, put it into spam of 2. So just copy it there. The previous value will get deleted. It is just like putting a new value into a variable. It is just like putting a new value into a variable. So this new value, I'm putting it into this variable spam of 2. So when I display this, now whatever was there in spam of 1 is put into spam of 2. So both of them will become adverb and adverb. What will happen if I do spam of -1 is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4? The last element. Now if I say spam of -1 is the last element. If I say 1, 2, 3, 4, so the last element of the list elephant gets changed with 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hope you understood what is the meaning of changing values in a list with indexes. I simply assign a new value in that index and then the value of the list changes. Next comes list concatenation and list replication. List concatenation and list replication. It is just like how I can concatenate strings, I can also concatenate lists. If I have a list called as 1, 2, 3, if I add it with ABC, then I get a new list that is 1, 2, 3 and ABC. Simple. So I can use a plus operator to concatenate two lists. And similarly, if I do XYZ star 3, if I use the star operator, then this will be the replication of this list. So I will get XYZ, XYZ, and XYZ. I can replicate a list multiple times. Okay, so what do you think will happen if I say spam is 1, 2, 3, and then new spam is equals to spam plus ABC? So now spam will be 1, 2, 3 plus ABC. So I can also put the values into a variable, and then I can use the list plus operator, another list. So both these lists will get concatenated. So this is the concept of concatenation of lists and replication of lists. In the examination, you will get a question. You will get a question. They will ask you, what is it? How are lists concatenated? Which operator is used to concatenate lists? So you have to say that we use the plus operator to concatenate list, and how to replicate list? We use the star operator to replicate list. Okay, so we use the star operator to replicate. Replicate in the sense this list will be repeated 3 times if I use a star operator in between, and so on. To remove an element from the list, we use a del function. The delete or the del function is used to remove an element from the list. Let us take an example. I have a list called as spam containing 4 items, 4 elements: cat, bat, rat, and elephant. If I say delete space spam of 2, what is spam of 2? 0, 1, 2. So rat, the value rat is spam of 2. The value rat is spam of 2. So if I say delete spam of 2, it will remove this element altogether. It will delete that element from there. Remember, it will delete it from there, remove that element. The size of the array, the size of the list before the del function was 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But after this delete statement, the size of the array list has now become 3. There are only 3 elements in the list now: cat, bat, and elephant, because rat has been deleted. Okay, so basically this is how we use the delete function. It is not delete, remember, it is del space, then write down the name of the element which you want to remove from the list. So it is spam of 2, second element of the list, sorry, third element, because it is at index 2. Remove the third element from the list, spam of 2, delete it, and then after that, what will be the content of the list? It will be only having 3 elements: cat, bat, and elephant, because that has been removed. So delete is a function to use, which is used for deleting element from a list. Then comes the concept of yeah. I hope you understood what is the meaning of the delete statement. So we have almost finished some of the built-in functions available with lists. Okay, what do we understand from this? Now, finally, we have to understand where lists has to be used. By now, you must have understood what is the meaning of a list. A list is collection of elements. But when do we use it? What are the applications of list? Now, remember, like when I am writing a program, try to understand this. When I'm writing a program where I need to read, multiple values from a user. Let us assume that I am writing a program in which I want to read from the user multiple values. If you want to read multiple values from the user, the first option is to declare multiple variables. Let us say I'm going to read from the user some 6 values. Okay, I'm going to read the names, 6 names I want to read from the user, 6 names. So if I want to read 6 names from the user, then I have to declare 6 variables, because when the user will enter that data, when the user will enter that value, the name, I want to keep it into a variable. I have to store it somewhere. Normally, whenever data has to be stored, what do we use? We use variables. Whenever data or values has to be stored, we use variables, because that is where you have to store them. So let us say that I'm reading 6 values from the user. I'm reading 6 values from the user, and I want to store them somewhere. To store them, you know that I have to use some variables. So what I do is I declare 6 variables: cat name 1, cat name 2, cat name 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 variables. Remember, these are individual variables. And then I read the first value, I keep it into that first variable. I read the second value, and then I keep it into the second variable. I read the third value, I keep it into the third variable. And so on. I read all the 6 values and I store it into 6 different variables. I store it into 6 different variables. Okay. So the program would become something like this. First of all, I ask the user to enter the name of the first. So I print enter the name of the first cat. Then I say input, and then I put it into the first variable. You can say, why do we use this input function? We use the input function to read something from the keyboard. You know that. So whatever I enter from the keyboard will be copied into this variable cat name one. Then I will ask the user to enter the second name. And then I read the second name, I put it into the second variable cat name two. I ask the user to enter the third name, and then I read the third name, I put it into the third variable cat name three. Similarly, fourth name I read, and the fifth name I read, and then I read the sixth name. And then after that, what I do is I process that data. Now, this program is very simple. What I do is I only display the names that the user has entered. Okay, I read all the six names, and then I display the cat names are, and then I display cat name one, cat name two, three, four, five, and six. So this program is very simple. I read the six names and I simply display the six names. That's it. Now, the problem with this program is that I have to hard code the number of variables. I know for sure that there are six names that I want to enter. So I can declare six variables here. Cat name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can declare six variables. But what if I want to write a program where the user is entering variable number of names? Variable number of names means every time I run the program, the number of names will change. First time the user want to enter only six names. Second time the user wants to enter only two names. Third time the user want to enter 10 names. Fourth time the user wants to enter, let us say, seven names. So the number of names that I'm entering into the program is variable, is changing. It is not fixed. If it is fixed to six, then this program is fine, absolutely okay, no problem. This program is absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever, if the number of names are six. But what if I want to write a program which is dynamically changing, and it is asking, okay, which is dynamically changing, and it is asking how many number of names you want to enter? So in that case, this program will not help me. This program will not help me if the number of names are changing. In that case, what I do is I, use a list. I use a list. I declare a list which is empty. I declare a list which is empty. And then what I do is I read the first name from the user and I put it into the list. Then I read the second name from the user and I put it into the second item of the list. I read the third name from the user, then I put it into the third item of the list. So now let us say the user decides, okay, fine, I just want to enter only three names. In the case of a list, when you are reading the names into a list, then I can have variable number of names entered into the program. If I am reading the values from the user into a list, then I can have variable number of names, different number of names in my program. First time when you run the program, you want only six names, you can do that. Second time when you run the program, you want five names, you can do that. Third time you want to run the program, you want 25 names, you can even do that, no problem. Because finally what you are doing is you are not declaring those number of individual variables, but you are adding these elements to the list. And in the list, I told you, you can have any number of elements. In the list, I told you that you can have any number of elements. Okay. Now let us write a program, and I will tell you what is that I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Let me just tell you what am I trying to tell you. Now, I told you that when you declare variables individually, you need to declare those. What I will do is I'll just hold on for a while. Okay, so what I was trying to tell you is, let us say I want to read uh, numbers from the user. I think I had asked this program for the assignment also. I had asked this program for the assignment also when I had given you the first assignment to find the average of the numbers entered. Okay, read variable number of numbers from the user and then find the sum of all the numbers and average of all the numbers. No, I think the highest, yeah, correct. Find the biggest. You have to ask the user to enter multiple numbers. Yeah, largest of the five. Yeah, correct. Omkar had done this program and then he had sent me the program also, which was right. Okay, so okay, I had asked you. Yeah, I had asked you to write that program. So we will write that program only now. First, I will write the program using fixed number of variables. So let us say I have, I'm declaring these variables. Okay, x is equals to 0. I write. Then I write y is equals to 0. Then I write z is equals to 0. Okay, let us say a is equals to 0, b is equals to 0. Let us say I am going to read five numbers from the user. I am going to write five. I'm going to read five numbers from the user, and then I want to find out of these five numbers which is the largest. And remember, I'm going to read this from the user, so that's why I declare five variables. I declare five variables a, b, x, y, z. Okay, a, b, x, y, z is the variables that I declare, and I'm going to read. Okay, so what I do is I print a value to the user, and I say, please enter the values, enter the five values. I tell this to the user. Okay, so first I want to save this file, save in the D drive. Then I have a folder here called as Python test files, and then I will write the program here. I'll just find largest.py is the name of largest.py is the name of my file, largest.py. Okay, so please enter five values. So what I do is, please enter the, I'll say, first value. Please enter the first value. Then I will do a is equals to input, and then this I need to convert it to integer. So I have to write that to convert that to integer. You all know that when I use the input function, whatever I enter from the keyboard, whether it is a digit, whether it is a character, will be read into the program as a string. So I have to convert that to integer. So I use this int function. Then I write b. Then I copy this, Control C, and then paste it, paste it, paste it, paste it. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first is over. This is B. This is C. Sorry, I don't have C. I have X, Y, and Z. So please enter the second value. I will write here second value, and this should be third value, fourth value, fifth value. Okay, so I have declared variables. I've initialized them to 0, 0, and then I ask the user to enter the five values. So I read the first value, second value, third, fourth, and fifth. And then now out of these values, I want to check which is the largest. I want to check which is the largest. Okay, so now I do one thing. I compare. Okay, if I declare a variable here called as big, big. I initialize that also to 0. Okay, and then what I do is, after this, after I read the first value, I put that into big. After I read the first value, I put it into big, and then I check if b is greater, if b is greater than big, then big is equals to b. What I do is I compare what is there in big right now. A, the first value that the user has entered is there into the variable big. Big is also a variable. Remember, it is a simple variable. The first value that the user has entered is what I put it into this variable big. Then I compare this big with this b. The second value that the user has entered is b. So I compare this big with b. If out of this two, out of this a and b, whichever is bigger will go into big. Then I will compare that with x. Then I will compare that with y, and then I'll compare that with z. In sequence, I will go, and whichever is a big value, that I will keep it into the variable big. So first, I compare b with big. If it is true, then I keep the value big into b. Then, if c is not there, x is greater than big, then in big, keep x. I hope you are understanding what is the logic. And then now check if y is greater than big, then put y in big. If z is greater than big, then put z in big. So after all these comparisons, the variable big will contain the biggest element out of the five elements that is entered by the user. So I say print the largest of all the five values is big. The largest of all the five values is big. So this will get displayed as it is. The largest of all the five values is, and then big is what contains the largest element, and then I'm converting to string because I cannot add an integer to a string, so I have to convert this big into a string, and then I'm displaying it. Now let us see what will happen. Okay, so file, save. I go to the command prompt, and then here I go to the D drive. Sorry, I go to the D drive, and then CD Python test files, and then here I will run the program. So Python, sorry, largest.py. So now it is asking me, please enter the first value. So I will enter 25, second value 12, third value 89, fourth value 23, and fifth value is let us say 13. So now it will say the largest of all the five values is 89. So 13, 23, 89, 12, and 5. So the largest is 89. So you can see that it displays me the correct output. So this program is for reading five values from the user and finding out which is the largest. Now the problem with this program is that every time I run the program, I have to enter only five values. I have to enter only five values. I cannot enter six values. I cannot find the largest of six values. I cannot find the largest of eight values. I cannot find the largest of 10 values. Now this program that I've written here is fixed for only five values. You can see I've declared only five variables here. I'm reading only five values from the user, and I'm checking the five values and displaying the largest. What if I want to write a program to find the largest of variable number of data? I want to find the largest of variable number of numbers, not always fixed to five. This is where I make use of lists. Look at this program. Okay, file, and then the program becomes very easy. This program becomes very easy with lists. How to write that program, I will show you. Some new program. First, what I do is I declare a list. Let the name of my list be NOS, numbers. Okay, NOS, numbers. Let the name of my list be numbers, NOS. This is the name I've given to it. And initially you see that it is empty. There is nothing in it. Okay, I did not enter anything in it. First, I want to ask the user, print how many numbers you want in the list. How many numbers you want in the list is the first question I want to ask the user. I will declare a variable n here. I will initialize to 0. Then I will write n is equals to I will save this program. Here in Python test files, I'll call this as largest list dot py. So first I ask the user how many numbers you want in the list. So I say input, I read that. Then I take a while loop. While n is greater than or equals to 0, n is greater than or equals to 0, I put a colon here. Okay, n is equals to n minus 1. Why do I do this? Is because now the number of elements in the list are variable. It is going to change every time. It is not going to be fixed only 5. So while n is greater than or equals to 0, I keep doing this. So I ask the user to enter this. So I write in NOS, and then I declare one more variable here called as I, and initialize it to 0. While this is a little different logic. I declare a variable called as I, initialize it to 0, while I is less than n, while I is less than n. Okay. So now numbers of I is equals to input so I read this and then I increment the value of I. Okay, quickly I write the program first and then you can understand the logic. So first I read the number, I put it into NOS of I, the first element, and then all the numbers are read. Okay, this loop will make sure that all the numbers are read. Then I want to find what is the largest. So after I have read this, then there are some built-in functions available with lists using which I can sort my list. I can sort my list. Okay. So what is the name of my list? It is numbers dot sort. If I sort the list, my list will get sorted. And then finally, if I want to print the last element of the list, I simply say NOS of -1. I hope this is okay. I hope this is let me see okay whether this will work or not. So file, save. This is the program to read variable numbers. So I'll clear the screen. Now we'll run the program. Largest underscore list dot py. So first it is asking me how many numbers you want in the list. I will say I want only 4 numbers. Okay. Immediately after that, it is asking me, please enter the numbers. It should display me, but it is asking me which are the numbers. I first enter 12. Oh, there is an error. What it says is list assignment out of range. Okay, I cannot do this. I have to write NOS of I is equals to NOS plus NOS plus list plus no NOS is equals to NOS plus that. Now let us see. Even if the time is over, I will explain this logic in the next class. Yeah, Omkar has written a reply. He is saying that NOS is equals to int of input. Yeah, this is a little different logic, Omkar, that you've written. What I'm writing is a little different logic. What I'm doing is I'm concatenating. I'm concatenating the item. As soon as I read the item, I'm concatenating that with the list. Let us see whether this will work or no. So I do that. How many numbers? I'll say 4. Then it'll ask me enter the numbers. I'll enter 12. Can only concatenate list, not int to a list. Okay, so it has to be a, so I put that in the square brackets. Now let us see. And then immediately after this, I want to print enter the numbers. Okay, enter the numbers is what will get displayed. So I clear the screen, run this program. How many numbers? I'll say 4. First number is 12. Second number is 14. Third number is 16. Then fourth number is 1. And then it gives me the largest of all. Okay, so you can see that the program has worked. Actually, the program has worked once again. Now first, when I executed the program for the first time, you can see that I had asked for 4 numbers. Now I want to run the program once again. I will say now I have 8 numbers. Then after that, it will ask me, please enter the numbers. First I will enter 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, and then finally it gives me the largest number, that is 88. So I can display here the largest is okay. So I even have, so I save the program, I come here, I clear the screen, I run the program. So first it is asking me how many numbers you want. I say only 3. Enter the numbers. I say 90 first, 34 next, 76. So the largest is 90, it says, which is correct. I run the program once again. Now it is asking me how many numbers. I say 10. So it is asking me enter all the 10 numbers. So I enter 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 90, 87, 67, 68, 76, 23, and then it says me the largest is 90. So out of all this, the largest number is of course 90. So it displays me 90 here. Okay, so I hope you understood the difference between the first program, this program that we've written, and this program. So look at this program, only for 5 numbers, how much big program you have to write. But with using lists, you can see the program becomes so small, only this much. You can enter even 100 numbers as input, and you can find which is the largest of all the 100 numbers using this simple logic here. Okay, so I will explain you this concept in the next class. We will go further in the next class. I will explain to you exactly what is working, how this works and all that. Okay, so we'll stop here today. I hope you have understood the concept of the application of or the advantage of using list in a program. Okay, so with that, I will stop here today. I will continue again in the next class, that is tomorrow. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, you please note them down and you can ask me in the next class. Yeah, thank you so much.